everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about Your Honor. This is season 2, episode 5, titled Part 15. And before we jump into the discussion, please make sure you click that subscribe button and the like button so that you can help us get our video out to a wider audience. So we appreciate you for watching, and now let's dive in. So, we had a lot of questions last episode. What's going to happen with Eugene? How is this thing with Michael and Jimmy's family going to work out? And, we seem to have gotten some more answers this week. So, of course, Gina is still pissed off, about what Jimmy did at the party. So she's in there making cannolis as part of a tradition. And she's rightfully pissed off because she's like, you made a spectacle. But Tiffany, you mentioned last week that she's playing very short-sighted. She doesn't see the long game that Jimmy is trying to do with getting the mayor in a compromising position. And it rightfully did, though, because the mayor got approached by his counsel. His advisors was like, you looking crazy out here taking a picture with him.
Yeah, and that was Jimmy's intent. And going back to the cannoli, did you see that she put something in the cannoli that she gave him? And I was just like, is she gonna kill him? Because when she was making the cannoli, she put something in one of the cannolis, and when she pushed it toward him, I was like, what did she put in that cannoli?
The only way
I didn't see that.
The only way I would have eaten.
She put something in one of the cannolis.
The only way I would have eaten that if I were Jimmy, when she slid that plate over to me, I'd have slid it back to her and took her plate. I mean, I wouldn't trust her no more than I can throw her. And then, it really bothered me to see him acquiesce to Gina at that point. Initially he said, I've had enough cake. And, he decided to eat it anyway because she forced it on him. And I'm like, come on, Jimmy, come on.
But, I think the added pressure of her father, Carmine, being around.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's the problem, really.
But I honestly think because her father is a family man and her father is a man. And I think he would have understood had he just grew some balls and said, look, this is what's going to happen. It seems like to me, he's kind of waiting for Jimmy to do that. And, he did say.
He did it at the end.
Well, he said later on.
He did it at the end of the episode. He said that. He even said something for Pops when he was like, I'm getting tired of getting questioned.
Yeah, exactly.
So he checked him too.
That's my point. My point is, you got to, because, the father did say Jimmy reminds him of his wife. And so that already shows that, there's a relationship there that
they think he's soft.
Well, yeah. And the first sign of strength is in your own family. So get your family together. Then he said your family's dysfunctional. So it may be dysfunctional because you're not controlling your wife the way you need to be controlling your wife. So, and look, that's no, disparagement about women and with their roles in the household. But
I don't think we took it that way. We know Gina off the hook.
Yeah, she's off the hook. Yeah.
She's a trip. She's a trip. And Carlo too. They're like, and then it sounds like the father might be like the same way, because she said to him, like, I wish he was more like you. And then but like Ron said, he recognized it, like, well, your husband is more like my wife and everything. So I think he does admire that in Jimmy.
I do too.
Yeah, but he was also reminding him, that the Baxter business was built off of the Conti name. And so they have a reputation to uphold. And so they're like, we get I don't even know if they get it all the way yet, not until maybe the end of the episode. But he was basically saying, like, don't make us look bad, So they are pressuring him to, go after the mayor and to try to get that land, to which Jimmy always does it in his way, which I can appreciate that he doesn't always succumb to what they want. And so he does end up, this whole ordeal with Jimmy and with Michael and Charlie this episode, because it's like they're all trying to well, actually, Jimmy is trying to get Michael. He goes to him at one point and asks him, can you get Charlie to do what I need him to do? Otherwise, outside forces are going to start getting involved, and it's not going to be pretty,
Well, let
And
me say
so,
this.
Michael he's in a tough spot because he's playing in the middle of the fence. He's got to, work with Jimmy to get what he wants. So Jimmy ain't threatening him no more. But then he also has to work with Olivia, who is just going crazy with the added pressure, getting him to, stay. He wants to stay out of jail, I think now.
Well, let me
Because at
say
one
this.
point he was like, "Take me back."
Well, let me
But
say
when
this.
Nancy came in at the end, he ain't looked like he wanted to go back.
Right. Now, let me say this about Michael, and particularly with Maya, that friendship. I know hindsight is 2020, so forgive me for this, but at some point you got to recognize friendship over commitment. And he should have said something to the mayor day 2 after he got out of jail. Hey, look, I'm being forced to do something that I don't want to do. And perhaps he and the mayor could have worked out a plan whereby he could have had, the best of both worlds. Because now we see that he may be losing the friendship, a good friendship, because he had to come clean at this point. Mm-hmm. And now the mayor's really pissed off because he's been put between a rock and a hard place. But I think, when we're placed in these situations between a friend and this so-called commitment, he should have said something earlier on and said, look, this is the way it is. This has gotten me out of jail. Help me out. This is where we are.
Yeah, it was a difficult conversation for him to have. And you can tell that he had to get it out, though. It's at a breaking point where he can't really afford to keep this a secret any longer.
It's a sooner or later type thing. You're going to do it sooner or later. And depending on the circumstances will determine what happens with that relationship. So I think the sooner, the better.
Yeah. And go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, I just think that in his mind, he thought he was protecting Charlie. He didn't want to tell him. He didn't want to get him involved in the what's it called, in the investigation. And then he felt like he had no choice but to tell him when Jimmy came and told him, like, listen, I'm afraid, I'm nervous for his safety. So anytime the mob boss is telling you that, it's clear that your friend's life is in danger. So at that point, he had to tell Charlie, like, listen, right. You can't.
But he gave up Charlie. He gave up Charlie with Nancy when she came, when he spilled the beans and but she recorded everything.
Though. He was in.
No, I know he was. But my point is, once you've come to your senses and realize what you've done, at some point, you have to.
Sooner he asked him, because Charlie did ask him. Like, yes, he was just like, is there something I should know? Am I implicated anyway and stuff?
That would have been the perfect time.
That he should have told him then.
Right. And this is also his second time being blindsided now. That he's gotten blindsided with the car and then also at the party last week. And it's like, I feel like you just throwing me out to the wolves at this point. So
he said, you the bad influence. Like, he was like, I get rid of a car, I end up in a murder. Right. He was like, so I mean, so he has a right to be angry with Michael. Yeah. But at the same time, I still feel a little bit for Michael.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a hell of a situation to be in. And I can't say for sure if I wouldn't have done exactly the same thing. But you got to understand it's going to come to fruition at some point, and sometimes waiting only makes things worse, as we see in most situations.
Exactly. Now, the thing that I'm worried about with Charlie is, because he's been offering this land to the other group of Black investors that he was trying to, and they seemed like they were very hesitant once they heard Jimmy's name. But we know that he did eventually make that deal with Jimmy after he, added some other concessions to the deal. He had to add, union workers, Black businesses, pay livable wages, library, school, low income housing. It's like all of these concessions. And he told him on top of that, I'm only going to lease you the land. So I was surprised that Jimmy, gave into all of those concessions, but they ended up making the deal.
No, I thought it was a good deal as far as, especially for Charlie, because, for his constituents. Like
Right.
he's
It works
helping,
out both
he's
ways
helping
for him.
minority business, small disadvantaged businesses, and we know about that, Ron.
Exactly.
Minority business contracted, all of that
The
is
disadvantaged, small
good for the
disadvantaged businesses, the whole
community,
thing.
all of that. So I was like, I thought that was a smart play by Charlie. Like, okay, I'm going along with this, but at the same time, he made himself look good and he helped his community.
Right. And
Yeah,
not
he
just
said it works out either way for him. The waterfront gets built up, and she was saying, he's working with Olivia now too, because he gave her a call and was like, it's done. And so, she might also get something out of it where Jimmy ends up getting arrested. So I think he's kind of put himself in a very good position to where whatever happens, his hands are kind of clean.
Yeah. I like the, not 5, not 10, not 15, but the 35% contract going to minority disadvantaged businesses, small businesses. So that was great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a little concerned about Olivia, and because seemingly she said something to him about the whole deal, and
yep.
And as you said, I was a little surprised Jimmy went with the lease agreement aspects of it. It'll be very interesting to find out what his wife thinks, Gina thinks about it. I'm sure he didn't
at the
say.
end, she seemed kind of happy. She was
Well,
ready to get it up.
The question is,
Yeah.
did he tell her we were leasing it back to the government? That's the question.
He probably didn't. He probably just said, I just got it done.
I got it done.
I think you're right to worry about.
Exactly.
The way she is about, because the way she had that conversation with her father, and she just was like, I wish she was more like, it was almost like she was contemplating getting rid of Jimmy. And that's why I worry about him, because I don't put it past him. And with her and her father and all of them, if they feel that Jimmy is in the way, they will get rid of Jimmy. And I feel like he's in danger.
Yeah, I think he realizes that too. That's why he went to Michael in the first place. Like, you gotta talk to Charlie. Like, this has to happen. So I think he senses that as well. And I think that's why, like, he's also in a tough spot where it's like, I want to put my foot down against my father-in-law, but I also got to tread lightly.
Well, I think he's also tired of being a pawn. And I think when he went to Michael, he seemed to have a little more a level of consciousness with Michael now. He understands his position, because his own position is not far different. He's being a pawn. He's been emasculated by his wife and her father. So I think this concession with Michael, and it may open up a relationship with him. I don't know. That's probably a big stretch, but at least he sees Michael's end because he sees his own. So
yeah.
This is what were you about to say?
Jimmy might not even have to worry about his father-in-law for too long, because once Olivia found out that Carmine was in town, she and Nancy are behind the scenes scheming on a bigger takedown.
A bigger takedown.
Now all of them. He said, well, if you get one of them, you can get all with a RICO case.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was like, Olivia, one-track mind. Because the joke she made about poor Michael, like, oh, if only he had shot you, I could take him down. I'm like, she is like, wow. Like,
Michael.
So that was a trip.
Mm-hmm.
But I found myself in this episode kind of like, as much as I feel for Michael and stuff, I found myself empathizing with Jimmy. Even though he's the mob boss and everything, it's like you saw another layer to him, like with the family dynamics and stuff and everything. And I could see that even though he is the way he is, that I can empathize with him a little bit. I saw a little bit of like humanity and everything like that in him.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that too. We talked about him having that conversation with Fia, so he finally had that this week, and he told her, I can't really see you anymore. And she seemed confused as to why, but she was throwing shade at her family and stuff. And I think that her continuing to be persistent, a persistent presence, trying to show up in Michael's life. I don't know how Jimmy is going to continue to feel like about Michael. That's still up in the air for me. I feel like he used him for his purposes this week, but he still has that little beef with him about how he's, kind of infringing on his family situation.
Well, I think the sooner Jimmy realizes and understands Thea, understands that Thea wants the entire family. She wants Michael involved because Michael is a grandfather. And as well, Thea likes Michael. And so the sooner he comes to grip with that, the sooner he can get Thea back. So if he's really trying to get back into his daughter's, good consciousness, he's got to allow Michael into this family, because that's the one thing Thea is not going to let go of. And we see that. So, I just don't believe that Thea is going to allow anything to happen to Michael. At least not on the front. She's not going to do that.
I agree. At least until she might get some color to the situation, find out the truth. We still haven't seen that yet. So we'll see. But the end of the episode was kind of a shocker for me because, as I mentioned, Michael decides he's tired of being a pawn. He says, I'm done with this. And Nancy and Olivia end up arresting him. But Nancy says that she has some new evidence that he lied on the night of his arrest. And she asked him where he was the night that his wife was murdered. Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute now.
That's me too. When I was saying to y'all, I was like, last week, I'm wondering, I'm like, did he kill his wife? Or does he know something? Because I'm just like, that threw me for a loop when she asked that. And I was like, why did he lie to the cops? I'm like, because the wife was, when we came up on the first season, the wife had already been dead like a year or two or whatever. So that was long before the situation with Adam and stuff. And so I was like, wait a minute. We thinking that Michael did what he had to do to save his son. Has Michael always been corrupt? Like what? Like
it calls everything into question.
What's the real tea?
Yes, that's what I was like. Hold on. So that definitely was like a kind of eye-opening moment, because I'm like, well, if you were capable of covering up one murder, for somebody that you love, obviously for your child, you're willing to go through any lengths. But now I'm just like, Michael, you got a whole nother alter ego going on here.
I can't wait to see what that information is they have on him. But let's go back.
That's so good.
Let's take a step back with Big Mo and Lil Mo.
Yes.
Okay, so
what did I tell you
about kryptonite? It even works when same-sex relationships. You know what I mean?
That's why I said
because
the power of the P is universal.
Oh my gosh, because I honestly think Big Mo would have killed him had her girlfriend not said, well, okay, so you're showing me the kind of family you want to have, and I'm not into this thing. So, and I saw her face, before she left, and that face was like, damn, I can't kill him. I got to do something else.
Right.
And so, once I saw that, I wasn't as surprised to see that she didn't kill him, but that beatdown could have very well been a death sentence in itself.
Yeah, I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, she blood in, blood out. She cut him loose, like I'm done with you, and just kicked him to the curb. I'm like, wow.
Wow. This woman is ruthless, but I like to see what the cartel might do with her. I don't know if they'll take that deal, but it's going to be interesting to see what the cartel might do.
You said this last week.
That's what I said, because I'm just like, bruh was like, okay, he rolled up in her territory in New Orleans, but she, he was like, you do this to me, you still got to answer to. There's always a line of succession with them. So, and if she had done anything to him, somebody else was going to come and knocking.
Absolutely. He said, you're on my international associates pulling up on you.
Yeah.
And they don't negotiate.
Right.
They don't do much negotiating. So yeah, she had to drop on him because she was on home turf right then.
Right.
But they don't play like that. So this is dangerous for her.
It is.
Definitely.
And definitely, like, I think the whole thing with Big Mo, I'm still worried for Eugene, because he did come back and drop off her money and everything like that, and she said that she was going to send him away back to Houston, but I don't know, man. That woman is something else.
I think she will, and the reason I think so is because that look she gave him during the talk, she asked him, what were your grades like? He said straight A's, and she asked if, did you like living with my sister? And he said yes. as much of a monster as she might be, I think what she sees with Eugene is there's some hope that he can change and not be in this thing that's so, that's got her family so entangled. So I think that, yeah, he could go back. So as long as the cartel doesn't catch up with him before he can get on that bus in the morning.
I was going to say, I think her intent is to send him back. The thing is, will he make it back? Because will he be seen? Look, why will he be seen by the Baxter crew?
Right. Yeah. I think something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah,
something is gonna go wrong. I think so. I hope he's not killed, but I think that he's gonna be found out before he even gets a chance.
That's the problem. Don't put him on a bus, drive him down there, but that bus thing, you're in public, you're in the public's eye. So I'm as you said, Tiara, I'm kind of worried about Eugene getting back there, but I think that Big Mo's intent is to leave him alone and say, hey, go back to my sister and live your life.
Well, is her sister going to be open to receiving him back in her house? Number one. And then number two, I was thinking too about, now that Lil Mo has kind of been outcasted, could him and Eugene kind of team up and go through life together? Because he mentioned like how he felt bad that Kofi wasn't able to be present in his life or whatever. So I was like, will he try to fill that slot now that he's not in the gang no more, in Desire? So I don't really understand what Lil Mo is going to do with himself now. And can he even stay in New Orleans?
He shouldn't, because if the Baxter family catches him on their own and stuff with no backing, they might do something to him.
Oh,
yeah.
So I'm worried for him as well.
Yeah, but I don't know if he got a dime in his pocket, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does, or if in fact someone catches up with him and finish off the deal, because it seems like where they dropped him off was more of a hostile territory, not certainly friendly area. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Lil Mo.
And Big Mo also got the club this week, so she got another target on her back coming from the Baxters. So it's gearing up to be a very heated situation, because I think she's got it coming from all angles. Jimmy's got it coming from all angles. And Michael, he's on the hot seat too. So it's a lot of stuff going on. We gearing up for a very explosive rest of this season, because we're at episode 5, and we know most shows after episode 5, it kind of like ramps up and things really start taking off and getting hectic. So I think starting next week, we're gonna see a lot of drama.
Yes. Did you see the trailer for the rest of the season?
I haven't caught it yet.
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness!
I kind of want to be surprised.
No, I mean it is going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be some drama and stuff too. I still worry about Michael at the end of this.
So does Michael go back to jail? I mean, he said he was done, and really the only way he can be done with it all.
Oh, I think they're going to use that situation to put the heat on him, to make him cooperate and stuff.
What I'm saying though is, if he really, really wants to be done with it all, he has to go back to jail. If he goes back to jail, it's over.
Or if he survives, because there's a scene in the trailer when somebody has him on his knees and with a gun in his hand. I mean, this is just the trailer for the rest of the season, so it's not no spoiler and stuff. It's out there. It's on ShowTime right now. So and they said he's looking for answers, because in the trailer, Bryan Cranston is narrating, and some of the different players are talking about the rest of the season, and then he says that Michael wants answers and things like that. So maybe he too is going to be trying to find out who killed his wife or whatever. So I was like, well, maybe he didn't do it. When I heard that, I was like, maybe he didn't do it, and he's this will pull him in, and maybe they're going to use that, say like, hey, if you help us, then we'll help you find out what happened to your wife. So I'm wondering if that is the trade.
Yeah, if his wife, I'm trying to understand what would be the motive for someone murdering his wife though. I need more color to that situation.
That's what I think we're gonna find out. That's what because they said he wants answers. So we're probably gonna find out in the final season. And that's probably gonna be the motivating factor because he lied for a reason. And he could have, and who knows? Did he lie because was he out having an affair? I mean, who knows?
Right.
Who knows? Because we're starting to see some more layers with Michael. So
they got that envelope on him, so it'd be interesting to see what's in it because I really want to know. Like they caught me off guard with that.
And me too. I was just like, wait a minute. When it went off, I was like, did you do it, Michael?
Yeah, so I think we have a lot to look forward to. And I know, Tiffany, you also sent an article about Bryan Cranston and how he had lost so much weight, like 15 pounds.
16 pounds.
Or 16, sorry. So they could, really be into this character, being in jail and going through it. So shout out to Bryan Cranston. That's dedication.
Oh, big time. I don't know if I could.
He's an amazing actor anyway, so I expect nothing less.
Yeah.
The whole cast is super, super solid.
Yes.
So, they're doing a phenomenal job at keeping us glued in every week.
I don't know if I can drop that kind of weight for any. I mean, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So shout out to them.
It helps him get into the mindset and stuff too, though. So he really sold it on camera too, because I was like, when I saw him.
Yeah, I thought it was a double at first, and I'm like, is this actually Michael? But it's Michael.
Yep. So they are killing it this season. Do you guys have anything else you want to add before we close out? Thoughts, predictions?
I think Eugene survives. I'm going to.
I hope so.
I think there's going to be a struggle, but I think he survives.
I hope so. Maybe Eugene survives and maybe Little Mo doesn't. And in the teaser, I also saw it looked like there was a showdown between Gina and Big Mo. Like there was a discussion, a face-off. So I'm wondering too about Big Mo. Like how much longer is she gonna be around? I don't know. But the Caesar said it's definitely moving towards a war between the two, the Baxter and the Desire gang. So
no love lost with Big Mo. So I'm sorry.
Oh goodness.
No love lost. Gina either, for that matter. They can have a duel in the street and gun each other down. There's no loss.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to put Big Mo on my who can get the hands list. 100%. Just for how she treats so-called family. She's very brutal.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Her and Gina too.
Yeah.
Gina too. For the way she treated her husband and everything.
I think I could even put Michael on there for how he did Charlie.
Yeah. Michael deserves hands for that too, because he got Charlie roped up in some foolishness.
Yeah. His responsibility is to his friend, and that should have he should have shown light on that almost the minute he came out of jail.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I enjoyed our discussion. To all of our viewers out there, I want to say thank you, and we appreciate you continuing to support us each week. Please drop down in the comment section and give us your thoughts on this episode, as well as predictions for next week and the remainder of the season. Also, make sure you click that subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. We are constantly bringing out new content and trying to keep it jazzed up. We got several interviews. If you watch some of our other shows that we recap, including Godfather of Harlem, we just interviewed the first ladies of Godfather of Harlem. So that's an interview you don't want to miss. Go check that out. We've interviewed several of the castmates from BMF. So check those interviews out. We have a lot of, just go to that whole interviews tab. We have a whole archive of interviews that we've done with talent from several different shows that you can look into. Also, make sure you follow us on social media. We are at The Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. So keep up with us there as well. You guys got anything else to say before we go?
You said it all.
You certainly have.
Well,
go Eagles. Go Eagles. Ready for the Super Bowl
I
today?
was just about to say, you guys have a good time watching the Super Bowl tonight.
Yes.
I'm here for that Rihanna performance.
Yes, I'm here for that too.
Yes.
Philly, home team.
Yeah. Even though the Eagles aren't my team, but Jalen Hurts show out, get it done.
We're gonna show up and show out today. Got the snacks going, getting ready and stuff. So
yeah. So on that note, I think we're gonna call it a night. I gotta go get my snacks ready for the game. So thanks again, guys, for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. Soon as we step out the cage, we raising all of the stakes. Make no mistake, either you stay in your place or we putting you on a plate. Look at our face, we put the fear in the dirt. We had to struggle for change, pick up the pace. We put in infinite work, that's why we stay getting paid. Y'all running late, we moving on to the next. You still been stuck in a phase, there's no debate. We draw the line in the sand, we say it straight to your face. They underrate, till we put the team on our back.